Thus, saith Anu the Yahuwah, the Elohim Anunnaki, or the Yahweh hands of the nine ether or new beings, Nubians, turn ye now from the filth foods that El Yahuwah, Anu, warns you, are an abomination to your bodies, and causes all kinds of sickness and disease. Turn ye now from excessive alcohol, that is slowly destroying you and burning your brains to idiocy, rendering you helpless and more common than you already are, and the many forms of drugs which are doing more damage to you than alcohol. Turn ye now from integration, that is also slowly destroying you, and helps to further rob you of your remaining heritage. Integration is not freedom. Integration is slavery, disease, unholiness, mongrellism, and ignorance. Many Christians believe that Yeshua, aka Jesus, is the one, absolute God. According to the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Quran, Yeshua himself never said that he was the only God, which the Greek version of the Bible called Theos meaning God, deity, and in Aramaic, Hebrew, of the Torah we see Yahweh meaning an Elohim, as well as a host of other names. The predators are beings from the galaxy of Andromeda. Their appearances are grasshopper-like, predator-looking creatures. When the reptilians captured the Romardians and took control of them, the beings from Andromeda were working alongside with the reptilians, and captured some Romardians as well, and started breeding their own race of greys, which in time led to a breed of mean, viscous, bug-eyed beings. When the energy field on the planet Risk was starting to increase and the whole was starting to lose color, the Riskians had to abort their planet and go to Orion, to get closer to the Milky Way. So, they moved to Mars, Lamu, where they set up a commune, laboratories inclusive. When they went to Orion, the Zeta Reticulans, who lived in Orion, did not want the Riskians to live in the Orion constellation because they were taking over. The Riskians aborted Orion and went to Aldebaran in the Taurus constellation. Some went to Arcturus in the Boötes constellation, while others went even as far as Andromeda. The beings from Andromeda, along with the beings from Rigel and Aldebaran, attacked and defeated the Riskians because the Riskians were not warriors. These predator beings are the same extraterrestrial beings that came to the planet Earth in the year 1952 AD to visit the US president, who at the time was Harry S. Truman. However, Truman could not handle the appearance of these beings, so the beings from Aldebaran, humanoids, came to represent them. Career politicians are the problem, not the solution. The reform we need are term limits, so elected officials can spend more of their time doing the public's business, instead of making re-election their real full-time job, for which they are willing to disregard the Constitution, referring to the current Shazmian campaign reform finance bill that violates the First Amendment. Messenger Clarence 13X, February 1929, June 1969, used the teachings of the messenger Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam as the basis of his teachings, which came to be the doctrine of the 5% nation. He taught his young followers to complete their education and to learn trades and professions. He taught them to be responsible and to acquire jobs needed to support the black community. Khonsu, like other angelic beings, was granted the right to come in the form of a well-made man, physical, that is, to walk amongst men. He works close with Khanum, the fashioner of each person's body, the controller of the potter's wheel. Isaiah 64:8. But now, O Lord, thou art our Father, we are the clay, and thou, our potter, and we all are the work of thy hand. The name Khonsu is derived from the root khans, which means to travel, to move about, to run, so he is the traveler, and he is depicted as having 4 wings like religion's angels, but long before the Bible and Quran. Khonsu is identified with the Yaa, meaning moon, as it travels through the sky. An in-depth study of his name reveals that it has its root in the KH meaning placenta and NSW for ruler. The key point in the name is placenta, a membranous vascular organ that develops in the female mammals during pregnancy, also in sharks and reptiles. Are Khonsu and conception linked? Yes. If you listen to the name Khonsu and conception, phonetically they sound the same, since the C in conception is a hard K sound. The word conception comes from the word conceive, from Latin concipere, com plus capere, to take. So, there is a link to Khonsu and conception in the womb, throughout the life source. Khonsu is a messenger of the great supreme beings. Khonsu, Tahuti, Anubu, Imhotep, Ptah, Suchuk, Kanu. These 7 beings are also from where monotheism also got their concept of the 7 archangels, and even the 6th, Suchuk or Seth, would be equivalent to the fallen angel. Why spell Egypt with an I? The original letter Yod of Hebrew and Arabic was taken from the original I of cuneiform or Wu-Sabat, the original name of the script cuneiform, which symbol was in actuality an I. As you see in the word I, the letter Y is trapped between 2 E's, for there is another letter in the Semitic languages that have the same sound E, and it's called a hin in Hebrew and ayin in Arabic, which is the initial sound of the tone. as seen used in the Sanskrit symbol for Om. It symbolizes seeing as not believing, but rather seeing as knowing, hearing as believing. The all-I-seeing, the all-seeing eye. In our revelations we use the letter I instead of Y because I is the 9th letter and it better suits our order, being that 9 is the highest number. If you blow up the shield on the dollar bill, you'll see a little owl looking over at you. This owl is symbolic of the Bohemian Society, their logo. A Bohemian is someone who does not live by the same morals and ethics as other people do. All of the living presidents of the United States belong to this order. They meet in California on the last 2 weeks of July, every year, at a place called the Bohemian Grove in Northern California. It is a small secret society that spun out of a larger society. The Bohemian Society is short for Behemoth Society, which is the living beast, and coincidentally, which is really not a coincidence, they wear black robes with a rose on it. These robes are like the outfits that the Ku Klux Klan wear, having pointed headdresses. They gather around a big open pit of fire and standing behind them is a 20-25 foot owl. This owl they are worshipping is the bubo, which are the largest owls, and are called eagle owls. All the head of industries, the head of states, and the most important wheeler dealers, meet out there and have rituals after midnight before the owl. This owl is a symbol much used in Europe by secret societies, because it is wise, and the owl is nocturnal, meaning they can see things in the dark, which is a metaphor because they know things that most people don't know. They know information that is kept in the dark. The great 9th Egyptian doctrine, the doctrine of breath, intake and out, embodies the law of life. Is not day and night a form of breathing, and is not this a law on how all things work? Even the birth and death of stars are universes. Without this doctrine, things can't be. Movement is merely a term for life and breath, or breathing, a sign of existence. Without this form of movement there is no life. The doctrine of breath is cause and effect. All scientific thought, and ancient and even modern beliefs have to acknowledge this law. Breathing not only sustains life, but can cure or be the means by which illness gets into the human body. 3 demons, germ, bacteria, and virus were the devils of ancient Egypt. Sickness was a sign of demon possession. So breathing was a key to health or sickness, life or death. Yet, the all creates beings that need to breathe, while in the body, but as the all return to all, the breathing stops. Movement stops, as you know it, from one point to the next. When all return to all, it will just be. No want, no will, no wish, no need, no me or you, him or her, yes or no, just all in all. What does the sacred scarab beetle represent in our sacred culture? The ancient Moors of Al-Qam, Egypt, drew from the sacred scarab beetle numerous symbolisms. One is of particular interest. The Egyptians must have been impressed with the drama of the scarab beetle rolling before them, on the ground, a ball of dung, the manurial excrement of animals and anything foul or abhorrent. Dung beetles, any of various beetles, of the family Scarabaeidae, that form balls of dung many times their size, on which they feed and in which they lay eggs. The Moors of Al-Qam believed that scarabs rolled their enormous spheres from the crack of daylight till the appearance of the sunset, and they saw in this, what they felt was a symbolism of the sun. The awakening sun in the morning was Kur, one of the god's names. The ball of the sun, which was the immediate cause of his life in the world, was supposedly rolled across the sky by the cry, another of the god's names, beetle that, of course, was identified with the creator. There is a big misconception when it comes to the truth about Nakash, the whisperer, and his followers. That misconception, or lie, is that he and his followers of devils are spirits, ghosts, or spooks, as many claim today, or just white people. Do not allow yourselves to be confused. Nakash, the devil, and the 200 fallen angelic beings are physical beings. Men and women just like you, black and white devils. You're caught up on the word beings. The word beings mean, the state or fact of existing or living, one lives or exists or is assumed to do so, of physical and mental qualities that make a person. That is why they are called beings. Refer to 360 questions to ask a Hebrew Israelite. A being is a physical description, attribution, or thing. You are human beings. Thus, angelic beings are physical, with agreeable or benevolent natures and disagreeable or malevolent natures. Do you still doubt? Then you should look at Daniel 9:21, where it speaks of the angelic being Gabriel, Nusku, as a man, Ish, male living being. Then go further and read Yekekel, Ezekiel 28:14-18, Isaiah 14:12-21, Revelation 13:18, and Quran 72-6. These all speak of the devil, as a male living being bound to dwell on the earth. Moreover, Genesis 3:15 says, "And I will arouse hatred in the midst of your descendants and Eve's, Nekabah, descendants, Your hate will be cunning and conniving as to approach from the lower heel as a snake when it bites, and their hate will be to bruise your heads. Right translation from Aramaic by Dr. Malachi Z. Yorkel. The wedding of Yeshua bar Maryam, aka Jesus son of Mary, took place in Cana in Galilee. The reception was in Bethany at Yeshua's own house. The reason why it was not recorded was because the Essenes vowed celibacy. It would have been a travesty to hear that one of their own had defected and married other that with the approval of the Rab, the head of the order, for the sole purpose of reproduction. Bethany is where he lived with Martha, Lazarus, and his wife Mary Magdalene after the wedding. When he defected from the Essenes village, Lazarus, his student, took him in. This was many years before he knew that he would marry Lazarus' sister. An outstanding detail in the book of Revelation is its prolific use of numbers. The usage of certain numbers is found throughout its text. However, no number is used more than the number 7. The number 7 is very significant and prominent in the book of Revelation. Revelation mentions 7 congregations, Rev. 1-4, 11, 20, candlesticks, Rev. 1-12, 13, 20, 2-1, thunders, Rev. 10-3, 4, stars, Rev. 1-16, 20, 3-1, souls, Rev. 1-4, 3-1, 4-5, 5-6, beast with 7 heads, Rev. 12-3, 13-1, 17-7, 9, crowns, Rev. 12-3, vials, Rev. 17-1, 21-9, eyes, Rev. 5-6, lamps, Rev. 4-5, kings, Rev. 17-10, angelic beings, Rev. 1-20, 8-2, 6, 15-1, 6-8, 17-1, 21-9, mountains, Rev. 17-9, horns, Rev. 5-6, plagues, Rev. 15-1, 6, 8, 21-9, seals, Rev. 5-1, 5. The number 7, as found throughout the scriptures, denotes completeness or perfection. Other numbers appear at the lesser frequency, but still act as an important and integral part of relaying the message of John, son of Zebedee's message. Islam is one of the biggest scams you can think of, from the Catholic Church. Khadijah, a Christian, who didn't marry Muhammad of the Quraysh tribe for love, but because he was young and able to be manipulated. Her family members, and the Pope were trying to bring people from all over the world to that one spot, Mecca, for economics and trade. In fact, a Christian named Abraha came from Ethiopia trying to overthrow Mecca and to bring in his trade, but the Quraysh tribe was trying to keep control. Their family clan kept breaking up and intermarrying with other clans. Thus, they bred a Muhammad, to try to unite the clans to keep the trade coming to Mecca. The modern Christmas tree originated in Western Germany. The tree was the main prop of a medieval play about Adam and Eve. A fir tree was used with apples hung on it, which represented the Garden of Eden. The Germans called it a paradise tree, and set it up in their homes on December 24th. They hung wafers on it, symbolizing the Christ as a sign of the redemption. They eventually hung cookies and candles, which all represented Christ. A Christmas pyramid, triangular structure constructed of wood with shelves to hold Christmas figures, was decorated with evergreens, candles and a star. By the 16th century, the Christmas pyramid and the paradise tree had merged, becoming the Christmas tree. Religious blindness prevents biblical and Quran scholars, and those that follow them, whether they are of the Judaic, Christian, or Islamic persuasion, from daring to pursue reality. To do this would mean venturing into the unknown, which is something most people fear. People base their whole lives on religion and its so-called facts. It's a known fact that the Old and New Testament, and the Quran were taken from ancient tablet carvings from the walls in the cuneiform language of an ancient group of people, called the Sumerians. In a place the Bible calls Shinar, Genesis 10:10, who received them from beings that came from beyond the stars. Many children are born in hospitals, which subjects them to evil. Due to this fact, it is of the extreme importance that the newborn child be given the proper ceremonies at birth the moment that it enters into this wicked world. That's why within the 4 corners of the room where the child will be delivered, the 4 recitations should be placed. If the door or window is in the way, just put the dua, prayer, beside it. And if the room is round, find the north and face Kodesh, the Holy Land. North. 1. We seek protection from the evil wind that comes from those evil beings of the north, and Etheric Elohim protect this child in the name of the chosen El Elo, who is the protector and the screener and the blocker of all who mean this child of the Elohim harm. South. 2. We seek protection from the evil wind that comes from those evil beings of the south, and etheric Elohim protect this child in the name of the chosen El Elo, who is the protector and the screener and the blocker of all who mean this child of the Elohim harm. East. 3. We seek protection from the evil wind that comes from those evil beings of the east, and etheric Elohim protect this child in the name of the chosen El Elo, who is the protector and the screener and the blocker of all who mean this child of the Elohim harm. West. 4. We seek protection from the evil wind that comes from those evil beings of the west, and etheric Elohim protect this child in the name of the chosen El Elo, who is the protector and the screener and the blocker of all who mean this child of the Elohim harm. These prayers and ceremonies provide blessings of peace and well-being upon the child and act as shields of protection against the evil forces that are always present during the birth of a child. These evil forces stand 30 paces away waiting to touch the child during delivery. The perimeter of protection is very easily broken. It is set up by etheric Elohim traveling in circles. They travel around that baby everywhere he or she goes, always staying 30 feet away for 90 days, and people who step in that circle have to be in a state of peace. Once a person starts fussing, the protection is no longer on the child. If your child has to be born in a hospital, the father should be present during the delivery. If he is not present, then a female should be there. That person, preferably a doctor of divinity, should be prepared to recite El Nuji and the Ikama at the moment of a birth. After placenta, after birth, is obtained, it should have a ceremonial burial as soon as possible. Hate is evil and self-destructive. I don't hate Caucasu, I just know their nature and what they do to others. This is telling you not hate anyone because of their evil, and not to fight against their evil, just get away from them. The Canaanites have always stood for naught but evil, even in their laws, their doctrine of life and worship, and their society is evil, and you cannot change it by fighting them because of it. Look who is and has been in control of the world. And, now look at the state it's in. Only one race of people can account for that, and it's definitely not you. You must fight to protect yourself from their evil, but not to change their evil. But, if someone attempts to take your life, or that of your people, then it is reason to both fight and destroy, but not because of hate, only for self-defense. It's the same if you had an animal, unless you are a wicked person who hates animals. The only reason you would destroy animals is if they attempted to take your life. Forms of life that are deadly to your survival, you destroy them only in self-defense, not hate. Every nation, except the so-called American Negro, sticks together. A so-called Negro can see one of his people needing any kind of human help, or being abused in any manner by an enemy, and will just stand in awe and look or laugh. They call this minding their own business, and they are afraid of the enemy, and don't want to be mixed up in it. Don't you know that your people are your business? Pornography plays a very important part in the Euro-Americans' propagation of white supremacy. These movies do nothing but portray men and women as sexually superior objects to be worshipped and desired. Very rarely do you find Nubians in these movies with leading roles. Do not misunderstand, I am not advocating the use of Nubians in these movies, nor do we condone pornography. We are just trying to make you understand the reptilian, Luciferian way of seducing you. If you are constantly exposed to these movies, you are being subliminally seduced into desiring the Euro-American. This, of course, is a sin and fornication in the eyes of the Most High. But do keep in mind, no one wins the race in racism. The evil one knows that the Nubian has a spiritual and soulful love for music, and that it is very much a part of our everyday lives. The evil one knows that he can control the music world as long as his agents are within the A&R, artists and repertoire, who are responsible for choosing who makes it in the music world, of the well-known companies. He cannot evaluate Latin or black music because he, the evil one, has no soul. He only duplicates it. He had to come up with something to win our souls through his means, and he did it with disco. This music was created to replace the music we made natural with our hands, that stirred the souls within our people. Time after time, he has you mesmerized by his spellbinding artificial music, heavy metal, punk rock, rap, etc., and abstract sounds that is only a replica of real music that steals the souls of our people that was stirred to life by our drums. Because of his lack of soul, he had to invent all kinds of electronic devices to make his music acceptable to the brown, Nubian, race. The original Arabians were black of the tribe of Kedar, the second son of Ishmael, Genesis 25:13, until people like the Red Arabs such as King Saud ibn Abd al-Aziz, January 15, 1902, February 23, 1969 AD, and the Saud family, who are East Indian, started moving into Arabia from the south on up north, as you see in the movie Lawrence of Arabia, and mixed and spread their seed amongst the original Nubian Arabs of that land. If you really look at the Saudi Arabian today, you will see that they are related to the Indians, Hindus. Many of you have gone to church Sunday after Sunday and got happy when the old preacher started singing about dry bones. You'd knock over benches, just because he was preaching about those bones, them dry bones. But you never could identify the symbolic meaning of those bones, how they were dead because they were cut off from their own people. Ezekiel 37 1-14. The Nubian people here in America are in the same condition as those dry bones that you sit in church singing about. But you shed more tears over those dry bones than you shed over yourself. This is a strange thing, but it shows what happens to a people when they are cut off and stripped of everything. You become a people like no other. There are no others on earth like you. You are unique, you are different, and people of all other nationalities treat you differently. Look at your hair. You have 9 ether kingly hair. They treat you like you are a dog. They say that you're Negroes. You see the contradiction? Mind you, they say you're Negroes, because Negro means black in Spanish, yet they don't call all black people Negroes. Something there doesn't add up. Then to get around it, they say mankind is divided up into 3 categories: Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and Negroid. There are no such names. You can't find those names anywhere in the scriptures. You don't know about uterus cancer until you get it. You don't know about thyroid defects until you get them. That's when you become concerned. Instead of being concerned in order to prevent it. In order to be ahead of cause and effect, you must be ahead of what caused the effect by knowing. No. You would rather eat junk and get raggedy teeth and then have to go get them pulled. Then when someone tells you that you have to change your diet, you can't eat like that, you are getting too old, you get mad, then you say, I'm used to this. I eat like this, I like fried food, I do this. This is all the influence of beings who have set out to eliminate you, and sadly they are succeeding.